So, I mean, they often say this, that Japanese people are born and they go to a shrine. So that, that's the verse that they get like christened in a shrine. When they get married, they go to a Christian church because they want the white wedding with the white dress and like the beautiful like European style, Disney style wedding. And then when they die, they go to a temple. So they just like check. Hey everybody, welcome back to Small Talk Japan. On this show, we talk about all things Japan in English. My name is Michi, and these are my co-hosts,
Natsuki,
Alex.
And today we have kind of a serious conversation, maybe.
Serious?
So I wanted to talk about, because Alex has a background in this, which I don't. And so having Alex as our, this year he started as our new co-host. We wanted to talk to him about Buddhism and religion in Japan.
Okay.
Now, Alex, tell us really quick. So you were, before you came to Japan, you were a Buddhist, right?
Were you?
No, well, not strictly, no, to be honest.
Okay, then tell us.
Well, when I was a kid, my dad, was interested in Buddhism and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I think he started out reading kind of beatnik type books from the 50s and 60s.
Are you saying that your dad was a hippie?
Not a hippie, he was a mod.
What's a mod?
You don't know what a mod is?
No.
A mod's like, in England, they used to ride around on Vespa scooters and things like that with long kind of parka jackets on.
Sounds like an Italian.
No, it's...
Sounds like John Lennon to me.
You know The Who?
I do know The Who.
They made a movie called Quadrophenia.
Yeah, I've never seen this.
No, losing this cultural reference. No. Anyway, so they were into kind of like, American music like Motown and, things like that, soul music. And used to drive around on the scooters and things like that. Vespas, yeah. But he liked kind of beatnik kind of literature and stuff as well, right?
Okay. So he was just into learning about many different
just culture and stuff like that, Jack Kerouac and that kind of thing, right? So I think through that he got into the idea of Zen, because Zen was kind of popular back then with those people in America.
Right.
And then he wanted to find out more about that, but there wasn't kind of a Zen Buddhist school in England.
Hey, what is Zen? I'm Japanese, but what is Zen?
What's Zen? Zen's a difficult word. Yeah.
Zen is like sitting like this.
We brought Natsuki to be in this conversation so she can say all the racist and discriminatory stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love it how we start out with the first Japanese word, what is Zen? I mean, that's tough to start with.
Zenmon?
Yeah, Zen.
Yeah, I have an idea in my mind, but I'm not sure if it's...
So it basically just means meditation.
Right,
So
meditation.
Okay,
it's from the word dhyana, is that something like that, I think, originally? And it basically just means meditation.
Meditation.
Yeah.
Mm.
So like the kanji for Zen is like the radical is like the simple. This is the kanji.
Yeah.
So
sitting and then close your eyes and thinking nothing. Is that something like that?
I think when you reach Zen, you reach like this meditative state where you're not wanting anything, you're not thinking about anything, you're not worrying about anything, you're just existing. I don't know if that's right or not. That's why Alex is here.
Yeah, I think it's more like the practice of meditation itself rather than a state that you actually find yourself in.
Okay.
So in English literature, it's used as being kind of a state, but it's not really a state. It's more like a practice as far as I
Zen was, I'm
it.
pretty sure, a Chinese-run sushi bar in Vegas like very many years ago, and then it went out of business.
Yeah, that's where it comes from. That's the origin of the term. Las Vegas
from
sushi
Las
bar.
Vegas. Okay.
Yeah, no, the best Vegas sushi restaurant was called Raw, but like they didn't spell it R-A-W. They spelled it R-A, and the symbol for it was the katakana Ra.
Oh my god.
It's so tacky.
Yeah, I don't think we had any sushi restaurants in Sheffield. Maybe
Still no.
in England they've got Yo Sushi. Yo Sushi. It's a popular chain.
Is that like yo sushi?
Yo Sushi. Yeah, it's like kaiten sushi. So, conveyor belt, whatever. Yeah.
Wait. Okay, so wait. Your father's learning about Buddhism in England. Now, there's obviously many different branches of Buddhism. Is he learning about the actual Indian Buddhism?
So Thai Buddhism.
Thai Buddhism
is kind of more popular in England, yeah. So the kind of Thai school of it was kind of more popular in the UK, and there's a place called Amaravati, which is like a Buddhist temple, basically. So I used to get dragged there when I was a kid.
So you went willingly.
Willingly. Yeah. So it's weird. I'd go down there, and there's all these kind of white people that have got like shaved heads, are wearing monk robes, and kind of living.
Orange one?
Yeah, like living as monks, like 100 full time, right?
All right. Can I ask you a question really quick?
Yeah.
Do you think that when you see like what you just described, like white people, right?
Yeah,
so they're like people from your clan, right?
Yeah.
They're doing like this completely different culture, this like Asian like culture, religion.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's cool that they're experiencing something new, or do you feel it's non-authentic? Do you feel it's like cultural appropriation? Like where do you fall on it?
It's not about like cultural appropriation or anything like that. It's just about the belief in that system of thought, right?
Okay.
So it might seem exotic at first, but once you kind of get into it, it becomes normal, right?
Because
it's the same as like seeing a Japanese guy in a vicar's outfit.
So I was going to give an example.
You know what I mean?
I went to a party once in the countryside, and it was a bunch of Japanese people dressed up as like American cowboys, and they were doing like Western music, like it was a hoedown.
So you're talking about the
Why do you gotta name drop everybody all the time? You can't name drop people, Natsuki. Anyways, yes.
Okay.
And so like I was just sitting there like as the only white person, the only American in the entire like group. I was just like, what are you people doing? I was just like, but that's how I felt. But I guess it's different if it's a religion because it's like welcoming. It's a way. It's not. Is it Buddhism? Is it a religion? Is it a way of thinking?
Buddhism's not really a religion, actually. It's more like it's a series of religions that are kind of grouped together under the term Buddhism. So there's like Thai Buddhism. There's several schools of that. Then there's Indian Buddhism, which doesn't really exist much anymore.
Okay.
There's Buddhism in China, which also doesn't really exist very much. And then a bit in Korea, and then obviously Japan as well, and then Southeast Asian countries too.
Why
But they're all
did your
slightly
dad
different.
interested in Buddhism at the time?
Well, so it's, like I said, through that kind of beatnik kind of, if you don't know about the literature from that period, it's quite hard to explain why, but it's kind of like questioning reality. And,
this is when the Beatles were taking LSD and hanging out in India, right?
Yeah, that kind of time, right?
Yeah.
So everybody's trying to push the boundaries of what they're thinking about their lifestyle, and, the Vietnam War's going on. So everybody's questioning capitalism, so they've looked to Christianity, and that's not really showed them an escape. So they look for something else.
I see.
Well, also at that time, England and America and the European powers, the powerful people on the top were all Christians.
Yeah.
Right. So there was like a rejection of the powerful people and their religion and their culture by some people.
Yeah, I think there's probably some of that as well, And obviously, if something seems exotic, it's kind of easier to get into.
It's fun.
It seems more fun, right?
Yeah.
And that's true at the start, I think. But once you get deeper into it, you kind of forget the superficial stuff.
Yeah.
And learn about it more deeply as well.
So how deep did your father get into Buddhism? Like,
I think he's been doing it for years now. I mean, he meditates every morning still, and he still writes about it. And
you
all
got
kinds
your
of stuff.
look. You got your prayer beads. You've always worn these.
Yeah, but these aren't really like a particular expression of any kind of religion. They're just like
It's a power stone, that's what we call.
Say that again. It's a power stone.
Yeah, power stone, what we call.
That.
Yeah.
Is it prayer
Is it?
beads?
Is it?
Yeah.
What are you wearing, sir?
Yeah, if I see them, I think that you're wearing a power stone.
Well, they're called nenju, actually.
Nenju.
Nenju. So
So
jizu or jizu garu desu.
so it's from Buddhism stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry. So maybe it's not a power stone anymore.
But those kind of power stone things are like a fashion accessory that's got the same kind of idea, right? I mean, this is the deeper discussion about Japanese people and religion, right? They don't really, honestly, a lot of people in Japan don't get what religion is. They've got no idea.
Dude, all of my Japanese friends, like, okay, first of all, in Japan, there's two major religions. There's the Bukkyo Buddhism, and then there's Shinto, right? And like, now you told me this before, and I didn't research it, but I'll throw it to you later. But like, apparently these were like the same kind of religious people that then broke into two sects at some point.
No, but yeah, go on.
I don't know. But anyway, the current situation is that you have shrines, which are Shinto. They have like the torii gate, the red gate that we know is the symbol of Japan. And then they have the traditional temples that's the Buddhist people. They have like the monks and everything. And there's some overlap between the two. Like you can get married at a shrine. You can get married at a... I've heard that you can get married at a temple, although I can't imagine that being fun. Like, because they're just so serious. Like, Shinto is a little bit more fun. It's like more celebratory, but like monks at the like Buddhist like temples just are so serious. I just can't imagine that like a fun, but they do have funerals there.
I've been to both.
How was the Buddhist temple wedding?
It's like kind of same as a Shinto one, like monks speaking something that I can understand.
Mantra or something. Yeah.
And then, but the no church. The temple was beautiful. It's like a golden style, and then a lot of
So
color.
this was not in Kagoshima. This is somewhere else.
It's there over there,
okay.
just there.
Over there.
Anyway, so yeah, it was serious, but. What did they do? They drink sake. Shinto do too.
So, yeah, but in Shinto they have like the flutes, the weird sound.
And similar sound was there. It was CD.
It was
Yeah.
So I mean, they often say this: that Japanese people are born and they go to a shrine. So that that's a verse that they get like Christians in a shrine. When they get married, they go to a Christian church because they want the white wedding with the white dress and like the beautiful like European style Disney style wedding. And then when they die, they go to a temple. So they just like check. But they don't view any of these places. Most people don't view these places like highly religious places. They view them as like cultural experiences.
Right.
Well, Japanese culture is about lifetime kind of celebrations, right? So you have Shichigo-san, when you like a little kid or whatever, and then you'll go on and maybe do a few different ones. I mean, they change through the ages, what kind of ceremony you do. They used to do one called Obinaoshi. So the girls would wear the first kimono belt themselves, and then somebody would correct it for them, and that was a ceremony as well.
Obi naoshi is fixing the obi belts.
Yeah, and then there was another one, Chakkonogi, which is where they used to put hakama on a boy for the first time.
I'm Japanese, but I never know such
We
words.
know.
These are like old samurai type traditions. Or whatever.
There's also there's a ceremony for the first shoes for a child.
Yeah, there's probably something like, you put and stand on top of mochi, right?
Yeah. First shoes and then stand on mochi. There's like
so when they turn 1 year old.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. I mean, for my kid.
Is anybody surprised?
But it's like,
but most of people do it.
But, Sotsugyoshiki is like the same thing now, graduation day.
Graduation
and then
day.
coming of age day. And then like, when you join a company, there's a ceremony as well.
Nishiki, are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So that's weird for me as
Really?
like a Western person. We don't have any ceremony for joining a company.
Because we don't join the company in a big wave once a year like they do in Japan.
Oh, I see.
But everything's broken down as a life stage.
Yeah, it
Like,
kind of feels like a factory. Like the little part goes to this station and they screw on something, and then it goes to the next station and they screw on something. It's like that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Belt conveyor.
So and it just feels like yes.
But
yes.
religion for most Japanese people now is an accessory to that system of various life stages.
Maybe,
So
that's
everybody
true.
knows that you have like, what do you call it? A shrine visit, miyamairi, when a kid's born. So everybody does that. Okay, tick. Next you go get married. So everybody wants to look. It's not Christian at all. It's supposed to look Christian.
Yeah, dude.
But,
Let's just drop it right now. So a lot of Japanese people will get married in fake churches with a cross behind them. They have no idea what it means. And then they have...
We do know what that means.
What does
you
it
do
mean?
because you went to a Catholic high school.
No, many people know what that means.
No, they don't. No, they don't. I have so many friends who will wear a cross. I'm like, are you Christian? They're like, no, I just like the way it looks. I'm like, do you know what this means? No, I don't.
What is that?
You went to a Catholic... What does it mean? What is it?
Yeah, it's a clothes that Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
was.
you know that because you went to Catholic high school.
Okay.
Most people don't know that.
Oh, maybe. Okay, I give it to you.
So anyway, so they got the cross behind them. They don't know what that means in general. And then they have some random white guy. Okay?
Yeah.
Listen, guys. He's dressed up like a priest. This is the most sacrilegious thing you'll ever hear. He's dressed up like a priest. He's not a priest. He's just some white guy that they paid $100 to come that day and to pretend to be a priest in their pretend Christian wedding.
It's a part-time job.
It is a part-time job. And then sometimes these white guys have to read like some sort of words in Japanese, and they're so bad.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Japanese is so bad. And you're just like sitting in the audience. You're like, oh, this is embarrassing for me watching you, Mr. Fake Priest White Guy.
I know. Somebody asked me to do that once, and I said no. I was like, I don't want to do it. And they were like, well, why not? And I was like, it's weird. And they were like, well, but you just get paid a fair amount of money for 40 minutes work. So what's wrong with that? But I said, well, imagine the opposite situation. We're in England, right?
Yeah,
And I want to have a Shinto wedding. And I want you to dress up as a Shinto priest and do all the stuff, waving the branches
you
and stuff.
Japanese guy who looks the part, just do it.
Would you feel right doing that? And they were like, no, bachigataru. Like, I'll get punished by, divine powers or whatever. So,
well, okay, I have to be honest then. I did this once, and it wasn't for money. It was
How much did you get?
0. It was
Zero?
it was for my friend. He got divorced after this, so I'll just take it as he will. He asked me to do because he did a Shinto wedding and then he did like more of a Christian style wedding, and he said, "Can you please do the officiant for it?" And I said, "My mother is actually a minister, and she will kill me, so no."
yeah.
And then I asked my mom, because she's a minister. I'm not going to rat out where she is, but she's an ordained minister. And I asked her, I was like, hey, so my friend said this, and I said no, so we're cool, right? And my mom said, of course, you're not a real minister. You shouldn't pretend to be one. That's not okay. And then like a week later, she calls me back and she's like, you know what? I was thinking about this, and there are no real ministers where you are. So why don't you, with my blessing and with the words that I give you, because they're all in Japanese, these really, really hard words, if you read exactly what I give you, then you should maybe do this, because it'll be their only exposure to real Christian religion. And so I agreed to do it. And it was so hard because there's so many words that I didn't know that I had to study for the first time.
Okay.
But I did it. And they lasted 2 years. So good guys. Good job, guys. Don't ask me.
Because you study just a little bit, they last for 2 years.
Yeah, if you studied harder, man, they might still be
Okay.
together. You know
I
what
know
I mean?
it is my fault.
Yeah.
We'll just say that. You know who you're not watching this podcast, but you know who you are.
Leave a comment below.
But anyway, it is true that like the religion in Japan seems to be more of like okay, this is what we do, and this is the place that we do it. And then you'll hear a little story behind it, like the monks and the religious people will tell you the story behind it, and everybody just goes like they're listening to a Disney story. They're like, yeah, that's interesting, cool. Let's go get yakiniku. There's no depth to it.
Yeah. It's not everybody, though. I mean, there are some people who are very, very serious about it,
Yeah.
but just the majority of people. But even in the UK and the US, it's the same. The majority of people aren't really serious Christians. You know what I mean?
Not
Like,
now.
Yeah, So it's like religion's kind of role in the modern world's changing. But it's a shame, I think, that Buddhism's kind of been relegated to a funeral only.
Yeah, it is
type
only
thing.
funerals. Dude, no one gets married at a temple. That's just weird. Sorry.
But there's other, benefits to it as well. Like everybody's talking about mindfulness now and all that kind of stuff as well. So it's good to kind of explore your own kind of psyche and stuff like that too. So.
How do you express your Buddhist, upbringing in your everyday life? Like, how do you?
I wouldn't say I was brought up Buddhist.
Okay.
So it just
Influenced.
I was influenced by
Okay.
it perhaps, yeah. But I wasn't certainly brought up Buddhist.
How does that affect your everyday? You once told me that your son, when he was younger, was outside like stomping on ants or something, and that you got really angry at him because you're like, we're a Buddhist family or something like that.
No, I just said, well, don't stomp on little animals and stuff. You know what I mean? There's no need to do it, right? So if there's no need to do it, why do it? Because
Right.
they're all alive. They're just doing the thing.
Do you eat meat? Because like the hardcore like Buddhist practicing I don't know how to say this, but
Depends on the school of thought, because like Siddhartha Gautama, the historical Buddha, ate meat. So, do you eat meat or not? That's the thing. Basically, he ate whatever was given to him. So when he died, he either, I think it was a mushroom or pork. I can't remember which one it was. But something like that was poisoned or not good, and he eventually died from that, apparently.
And so is that when the kind of tides changed against meat or something?
No, it's just whatever you get, whatever you receive, because you have to beg for your food. Whatever you receive, you eat. So whether it's meat or not, because the animal's dead already, right?
Right.
But you shouldn't go out and seek to kill an animal to eat it.
Is that the philosophy of itadakimasu and gochiso-sama deshita? Like, whenever you get food in Japan, it's always like, I gracefully receive it. It's like the thing that you say.
Yeah, well, because you understanding then that the food that you're eating is coming from a huge cycle of, the sun coming down onto
I watched
the
The
leaves.
Lion King. I know.
Cycle of life.
the farmer raising it and everything like that, and you're part of that as well. But this going itadakimasu is not right. That's like a modern invention.
Oh, okay.
Putting your hands together. That's from the Meiji period.
Oh.
So historically, they didn't do anything. They just
I
said
didn't know.
itadakimasu.
It's from Meiji period.
Ah, so this action is new.
Yeah, that's from the school education system in the Meiji period.
Oh.
Because you got people from samurai backgrounds and farmer backgrounds and everything. They all had to go to the schools together.
Mm-hmm.
So the people from different backgrounds didn't know the manners.
So they like created a
So
new
they created
like.
a new generic manner. No Japanese people know this.
Oh.
Itadakimasu is like something that's recent. They didn't used to do it. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. My 1-year-old baby can do it. Itadakimasu like this.
In your family, Natsuki, you have a newborn 1-year-old, and you know your family, your father. I can't imagine him being really religious. Like he
No.
might have religious roots, but not being a really religious person.
No.
How about your husband's family?
They have no religion either. I mean, just like majority of Japanese, we go to shrine on the New Year's Day, and then when people die, we go to temple, and then when somebody get married, we go to church.
Do you buy omamori, the little magical charms that protect you from whatever?
Yeah, sometimes. Just for fun. It's like a lucky charm.
See, I think that's like the general consensus about everybody that practices, not everybody, but the majority of people who practice religion in Japan is it's for fun. It's like a cultural thing that it's like, oh, today I feel like eating Mexican food kind of
Yeah,
like
something
feeling.
like that. Yes. And then, some people wear, we say, what's the necklace that the Christian people wear?
Crucifix.
Rosary.
Rosary.
That's two different things, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So they wear rosary for the fashion. We wear sometimes.
Ah.
Yeah. So just like you said, omamori lucky charm is like for, I don't know, keychain.
Do you when you got a new car? Did you get the Shinto priest to ward off the bad spirits from your car with smoke?
Personally haven't done this in my life, but some people around me does.
So when I first heard about this, I was like, first of all, how much is it? Because everything that these guys do costs money.
10,000 yen?
Yes, 10,000 yen, or around 10,000 to 30,000 yen. And so I really thought that you took your car to the shrine, and then like the priest would just like hit your car, and like give you your personalized. No, it's like a whole parking lot of cars. There's like a bunch of cars in the parking lot, and this one Shinto priest just like blessing all the cars in one big, just taking their money. I'm sorry, I'm very cynical when it comes to religion, but yeah. And then there's another one. Okay, you can talk to this one. Apparently, when people die in Japan and they have a Buddhist funeral, they pay to have an afterlife name.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So you pay some money and they'll come up with a name of a certain grade for your kind of Buddhist name. And then if you pay more money, you get a fancier one.
And this is for your afterlife, right?
Yeah, it's more for your kind of... depends on how you view it. It's a very complicated topic to talk about.
Because I once had like a student who was a monk, and I was drilling him on this practice. I was like, wait a second. So the guy's dead. He's like, yeah. I'm like, so all you do is you give them a name. So you just like say some words. He's like, well, basically, yeah. I was like, how much do they pay for this? Well, it depends on the quality of the name. I was like, how much are like the top tier names? And he's like, in dollars, he's like $150,000 to $250,000.
Yeah.
So like 2,500 万yen.
Huh?
Yeah. And I was just like, and all you guys do is write down like Joe.
250万じゃなくて
2,500万yen. That's for like the like god tier, like really, really, really like top stuff. And he was telling me about this. And I was just like, what? I was like, man, I should have made it. Temple or something.
No, they do have posthumous names, in Buddhism. But Buddhism in Japan's not one universal thing. It's lots of different sects, and the different sects have quite different beliefs. So they're not all the same by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I've actually talked to the different sect people, and then they're always like, "Oh no, we're the true blah blah blah. Those guys, they're just did it for this and blah blah blah." Yeah.
Well, actually, it's more like having a table, right, with lots of different glasses on, and the glasses all have the same kind of drink in, but there's different shapes and sizes and things like that. So people fit the one that
you just went really philosophical, like philosophical with us just now. Just like, wow.
That's the explanation, man. It's the easiest explanation.
That doesn't really work with Christians because Christians fight each other.
Yeah, they do. There's less infighting in Buddhism than you would imagine. Historically, there was a little bit, but mainly from the Pure Land kind of Buddhist type people.
Is it true that, I know that Christianity came to Japan through where we are here in Kagoshima with Xavier.
Yeah.
Didn't Buddhism also land here?
Yeah, I think so, probably.
From China.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we're like the entryway.
Yeah, and Korea as well. So mainly from those two countries, yeah. So Japan before that was like animist, like Shinto.
Yeah.
And then Buddhism comes in. Buddhism blends very well with domestic religions.
Because it's a philosophy, kind
Yeah,
of.
it's more of a philosophy. It's not trying to replace any gods that you have. There are kind of deities in Buddhism, but they're more kind of representative of states of mind and things like that, rather than kind of like overseeing powers that are going to punish you and stuff. So it kind of blended quite well with Shinto. And for a long time, Shinto and Buddhism were basically, mixed together. So you'd go to a shrine and there'd be kind of a temple with a shrine inside it, or a shrine with a temple area inside it, whatever. And then, after the Meiji period, they split them up because Buddhism was seen as like a foreign influence. And the pure Japanese way of thought was Shinto. So the state separated the two. And that's why we got state Shinto afterwards. And, Buddhist complexes split away as well.
I have no idea what Shinto people do in daily life. Like
They do the same thing you do.
Lots of cleaning.
lots of cleaning.
Yeah, cleaning stuff all the time.
I know that they do the fish at the funeral. I've seen that. Like
Fish
they
at
got
the
like I don't
funeral?
know, they got this big fish. I just watched it once. I was watching a Shinto funeral and she's like, why do you guys got a big
I've never been to
fish?
Shinto funeral in my life.
Really?
No.
It's
no.
unusual. Not many people do them.
Yeah, like I said before, like it's usually Shinto when they're born, Christianity when they're getting married, and then Buddhism when they're dying.
So
Not like we don't go to temple anymore when people die. It's a like funeral center.
But the monk comes.
Yeah, monk comes.
Yeah.
So I had no idea, like, like the funerals I've been before, it's probably based on Buddhism style.
Yeah.
But I've never think that was our Buddhism style.
Right, because like that's what we were talking about. It's just like that's the thing that you do at that time.
Right.
So the difference between Buddhist and Shinto funerals basically is that for Japanese people anyway, Shinto funerals are much easier to understand
Really?
because it's in Japanese.
Okay.
But Buddhist funerals, reading Okyo Sutra,
Yeah.
Buddhist sutras, which have been translated from Pali into Chinese and then into Japanese. So if you just listen to it, you don't know what they're talking about.
Right. It's like a spell.
Yeah, it sounds like magic.
No.
Yeah,
fine.
so they did it like that to preserve the sounds because they felt that the sounds of the words in the sutra had magic powers.
Oh, so it is like
So-
a magic spell.
So almost like a spell, almost, with a meaning behind it as well. There is meaning there too. But unless you study it, it's very difficult to know what it means. But if you go to a Shinto funeral, you can actually understand 90% of what the guy's saying.
Oh.
So they'll talk about their life or, what they did in their life and then how they're going to, become a kami or whatever like that afterwards as well.
When people die in a Buddhist funeral, they get +1 to their age for some reason.
Yeah, there's a different way of counting it in Japan, right?
Kazuedoshi.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like if you die when you're 44, they're like, and he was 45 years old. I'm like, where did this year come from? It's like it's a different way of counting
It's
it.
when you're born. You don't born as 0, born as 1.
One.
Right? Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they get a new name and then a new age.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Bonus, right?
And then there's another thing that happens is like a year after the funeral, there's what's it called in Japanese?
So they've like nanenki toka ne.
Yeah, none.
Nanenki toka.
So my mother passed away 10 years ago, and then next year will be our something anniversary.
Yeah.
We call 13 kaiki.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
actually no. This year she passed away 11 years ago, and then next year will be 12. But we do the 13 years anniversary.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's the big one.
is the big one, 13.
Yeah, we almost forget, so I researched. Sorry, mother.
Yeah. But it's good to do that kind of thing and remember the person that passed away, right?
Right. It's like always remember her anniversary to me.
Do you guys have a butsudan in your house?
I do. I mean, my parents' house, yes, they
Do you guys have a butsudan?
Yeah.
In the
small one, yeah.
Like I used to live in Kawanabe where they make butsudan, right? They're like world famous for that. And like I've lived in an apartment that had a space for a butsudan. Butsudan, by the way, is like a
Buddhist altar, right? Yeah.
Buddhist altar that you have in your house is made from wood. And so like they had a space for it. And I think we hung drying laundry there.
If you go to Japanese old school じゃなくて house,
Yeah.
they like each house have such a space.
Yeah. So it was a pretty old apartment. And like I remember my brother was just like, what is this space for? I'm like, I didn't want to tell him. So I was just like, you can hang your laundry here. Because otherwise we probably wouldn't have used the space for anything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then so the very like practicing people will wake up every morning and they'll put the incense and ring the bell and pray, to their ancestors, kind of thing. And-
Right. To us, God is our ancestors. So we pray for our ancestors to please save us from disaster.
That's a blend. That's from Confucianism as well, though, really. So
Yeah.
Japan's a mix of three major religions, basically. It's Shinto, Buddhism, and Confucianism.
And then there's also Taoism, which comes in as well.
Taoism, yeah, less so, but there is some influence with that as well. Obviously, the kind of ritual practice, shugendo and stuff like that, where they go up into the mountains and do all that kind of ritual purification and stuff like that. That's kind of influenced by that, I guess.
So many Japanese people go to their family graves often, right? Is that Shinto or Buddhist?
Depends on which kind of funeral they had, I guess.
Oh, okay.
So some people go to the grave site and they'll pray as if they were doing a Shinto shrine.
Ah, okay.
Some people just put their hands together like they're at a temple.
Oh, I see.
There's also a lot of Shinto blessing of construction sites. I heard a story about how when they were building the traffic control tower in Hawaii, actually, they're building a new one, and there's a lot of Japanese influence in Hawaii, and one of the directors who was overseeing this construction site came and nobody was working, and he's like, "Why the hell aren't you guys working?" And then all the workers just look at him like, "Well, what?" And then his boss told him, "Get a Shinto priest out there to bless the construction site, or they're not going to do anything." And they got a Shinto priest to come out and bless the site, and then they started actually working. So there's a lot of that, and especially in Japan, you'll see construction sites before. In America, we just have the shovel in the ground with the rich people pretending like they're doing work. It's the groundbreaking ceremony.
Yeah.
In Japan, they actually do the blessing of the site and everything. And
I mean, sometimes they consecrate things in Christian.
Yeah,
countries and
sometimes
stuff too.
But they don't, not as much as they do in Japan.
That's true.
When you get a new house, you have to throw rocks off of it, or what was it? Something like that.
So you do munagishiki. So you do this thing where jotoshiki is another name for it. You build the house, and when you put the main roof beams up, you go onto the roof and put alcohol at all four corners and throw off mochi,
That's
like
mochi.
rice cakes, and
Some
money.
Yeah.
Money as well.
Oh,
So you
well,
go to that, man. All the old people go fucking crazy. So they're all elbowing you out the way, trying to get the money off the ground.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Nuts.
How much money are we throwing?
Like 500 yen coins or...
And the big one is 500 yen.
Yeah.
And the old people are like, get out of my way.
Yeah.
But it seems like not anymore these days. Did you do it when you had a house?
Yeah, we did it, yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Well,
Good.
because his father-in-law is a construction company.
Yeah. Oh,
was
really?
an
Yeah.
owner, so probably follows all of that.
So there's a couple of new houses around where I live, and some people do it, yeah. But less than before.
Yeah, less
definitely.
than before.
Yeah, but it's a nice thing because all the neighborhood people come around to get all the free shit.
Well, it's a good way to meet your neighbors too.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, that's one thing that I wish I could do in my apartment tower is I wish I could go around to all of my neighbors on the same floor and introduce myself hi, my name is Mitch. I live here. If there's any trouble or anything that you need, just let me know.
Yeah.
I would do that if it was America, but for some reason in Japan, it feels taboo to do that. So I don't do that.
People don't like that invasion of privacy. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a natural thing that you do in America.
So usually what you do, if it's a house, for example, all the neighbors bring you housewarming presents.
Oh.
And then if it's this is obviously depends on your area. If you're in the poor area of New York, people probably aren't going to come to see you. But if you're living in a nice place, usually they're like, oh, hi neighbor, or leave a little note, welcome to the neighborhood, something like that.
Aren't you not scared?
No.
No.
Why would I be scared?
Neighbors.
Why would I be scared?
Because we don't want somebody to find out where we live.
So I think that's more of a women thing.
Oh, really?
I don't really
I don't care if anybody knows where I live. Yeah.
But I said hi when I moved into my house now. I mean to my neighbors.
So you know your neighbors, right?
Yeah, but not known. I know their face. That's it. We don't really have conversation in there.
You don't need to be best friends with them, but it's good to know who they are.
Okay.
But anyway, that particular housewarming ceremony is a good way to meet.
You could do that. You could throw money off your balcony. Or
Shinto
I
style.
could.
Mochi.
I think all the police will come though.
yeah. And how many stories is it? It's quite high.
Yeah, it's 8
Lots of
story.
injuries.
Yeah.
Is a Shinto style that people throw in things? I mean,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's more Shinto than Buddhist, I imagine.
I want to say that I've put a little bit of culture into my building because for years I put my Christmas lights up on my windows.
Yeah.
It's the top apartment on the building, and so it's blinking Christmas lights. And so it looks ridiculous. But I also have like a red ribbon on my door during the winter holidays.
That's cute.
And then, so forever, I was the only one in the entire building doing this.
Probably,
And
yeah.
then this year, the new girl whose apartment is near the elevator, she's got this little red ribbon that's on the doorknob.
No way.
I'm like, I'm winning.
Spreading the culture. But I mean, we see all this Japanese stuff, and because it looks exotic to Western people, you think like, oh wow, they must be really spiritual or something. But think about it, like in England, for example, you put mistletoe above the door at Christmas, right?
Yeah.
That's originally to ward off evil spirits and stuff, right? And holly as well, because it's evergreen.
If you're going to say that, the Christmas tree, most people are like, oh, that's Christian. It's like, no, it's from the Druids and the pagans, man.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I mean, if you don't really study it, you really don't know what it is.
So there's a lot of that similar kind of animism in Japan as well. You know, Shinto putting up evergreen trees in winter, you know, like pine and bamboo and stuff like that in front of your house. You know, it's really similar actually. So
I forgot the name of it. It's like the little like shrine thing that they put on the ceiling for Shinto.
Yeah, I
kamidana,
had one. Yeah, I have one in my house, and I had also Butsudan in my house too. So, like technically, two gods are living.
Check.
Yeah.
So at work we do like tsukinami-sai every month.
What is it?
So we go to the shrine for the monthly Shinto ceremony, like blessing. And we also do Anzen Kigan every 15th of the month. So in the office, everybody prays to the kamidana for safety for the next month ahead.
So this is like splitting the difference then?
So, well, they're both Shinto. And then once a year, a Shingon Shu, so Shingon, esoteric Buddhist priest, comes and blesses all the items in the museum as well for safety.
Interesting.
There's something I got known recently. The gate in front of shrine.
Torii gate.
Torii gate. There are two types, and one is a red one, and the other is a concrete one.
Yeah.
The red one, the shrine lives in the real god.
Yeah.
And then the concrete one, the real person are sleeping there. It's like a big grave.
It's like a demigod, I think, is a difference. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, there's been some people talking about how the Torii gate, this shape, is similar to the exodus of the Jews from biblical Egypt, where you had to put blood of the lamb over the house, the entrance of the house, or else God was going to kill the firstborn son of your house during the plagues.
Is that right?
There's people saying that the religious imagery there is very similar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was reading an article about that.
Think about it, like Jesus, they always show him with like a gold halo behind his head. If you look at Buddhist imagery, they always have a gold halo as well. So there's also, what is it? Jesus, the Holy Ghost, and God as well, right? The Holy Trinity.
The Father, the Ghost,
Son,
and the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
The Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, yeah.
And then in Buddhism, there's the Buddha, the Sangha, and the Dharma. So the three holy trinity, basically.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of crossover between those two religions because they both come from the same part of the world, really.
Yeah.
Like northern India.
That whole Middle Eastern
area, right?
That's why the story of the Great Flood is in so many different cultures and religions. And also the Jesus-like character, the Messianic character, is also in a lot of different religions. So yeah, it is very similar.
Yeah.
Why did that happen? Because those things are from different places and all long time ago. But
Probably
still
the same
in
place
common.
a long time ago, right? That's the difference between like real Eastern religions, is that they are completely separate unless it's influenced by Buddhism, which did come from that kind of Middle Eastern area. That is interesting.
But there's some crazy shit in Buddhism, like some really fucking mental stuff, like the hells and things like that, the kind of different levels of hell that they show.
That sounds fun.
People getting tortured in different ways. If you go to a temple, sometimes they have them on display, and it's like really scary stuff.
Is that like Dante's like levels of hell, whatever it is?
Something like that. It's like different kind of punishments for different people. Like in
Buddhism is
different realms of
reincarnation,
suffering.
right?
The basic kind of thought behind it's reincarnation, right? So you finish one lifetime and then you kind of are reincarnated into a different level, depending on how much good karma you accumulate.
So you can either go up or go down.
And then eventually you go out of the system, which is...
That's when you're reaching nirvana?
Nirvana, yeah. But, I mean, that whether it's real reincarnation or not, it's kind of a moot point. I don't really believe in reincarnation as another being. But the kind of atoms that make up our body are going to go back into the universe.
Now you're getting real scientific.
And turn up somewhere else eventually. we're all kind of made of stardust anyway. They say
that's probably one of the most like changing, like groundbreaking, like earth shaking things that I've ever heard is that we are all made, the elements in our body were forged in the centers of stars, and so we are all literally made from stardust, which is so amazing.
But for me, Buddhism kind of explained that better than any other religion that I'd seen. So I was interested in it because of that, rather than the kind of esoteric nature of it, or and like the way that they explain thinking as well. Like they said, the world doesn't exist, and anybody who hears that goes, "What are you talking about? Of course it exists. Look, table or whatever." But everything we touch, feel, smell, see, hear.
It's a perception.
It's just an electric signal in your brain. That's all. It exists nowhere else apart from in here. So you don't actually know what's out there in the real world. So when you look at kind of Buddhist philosophy saying things don't exist, it actually does make a lot more sense than it might initially do. If you look at it through a scientific lens as well, there's a lot that crosses over. I mean, there's some that doesn't, obviously. But, and if you can learn to control your own mental state, then surely you can learn to control those external influences that you're, processing in your head as well. So that's what interested me in it, I think,
I want to point. We've gotten really deep with this conversation, but I think we've covered a lot of topics. But one thing I want to talk about before we do close today's show is the idea of heaven, because we touched on hell. Buddhism doesn't advocate a heaven, right? It advocates nirvana, which is like the perfection of thought and whatever it is, and peace. Shintoism, I'm not sure. Does Shintoism have a heaven? I'm not sure. But a lot of Japanese people believe in a heaven. Maybe that's a Hollywood influence, but a lot of Japanese people believe
is it
in
Hollywood
heaven.
influence?
I think-
didn't know that.
Shinto has kono-yo and ano-yo, right? So this world and the world of the gods.
But
I didn't
is
know
that-
that Buddhist has no heaven.
It's not.
didn't know
It's
that.
not. It's not heaven that we think about in the clouds, all white, everybody's happy. It's not. It's not. It's not that image.
So Buddhism means escape from suffering. So the basic principle of Buddhism is that life is suffering.
Yeah, and you. What is it? Eightfold Path.
So yeah, the Four Noble Truths and then the Eightfold Path. So the Four Noble Truths are basically everything is suffering. Suffering arises from
desire,
attachment and desire. You can cease suffering. And how do you cease suffering? Through the practice of the Eightfold Path,
Right.
which is like speaking correctly, behaving correctly.
Hey, where is heaven and hell idea come from?
Well, Christianity has it.
Okay.
That doesn't mean it came from there.
Okay.
Because Christianity, remember, was born in a time where, Greek and Roman mythology, so Zeus and Hades and stuff like that had already kind of existed. And then they had pagans and druids and all these people existed. And then Christianity was born from that. And so there's kind of been a little bit of mixing of stuff. And so it has it. So the idea of heaven and hell, not sure. But the idea humans for a long time have thought, if you are bad, then when you die, something bad happens to you. Or if you're good and when you die, something good happens to you. And this idea that there is a God, this has been in human thinking for thousands of years.
Okay.
Right. So, I mean, if you look at the pharaohs, for example, the pharaohs were gods and then they needed their tomb, I think, to reach ascension to go to heaven. Right. And so there's this idea of heaven for a long time. But the idea in Japan of a heaven and hell probably comes from Hollywood.
Really? I didn't know.
I mean, like Shintoism doesn't have heaven, Buddhism doesn't have heaven. So
I didn't know that.
when you picture heaven, Natsuki, how do you picture heaven? Tell me visually, what does it look like?
It's like a paradise. It's like a blue sky, and people were living in upon the clouds.
Hollywood. It's Hollywood.
What about the hell? Hell, there is an Emma Dyer, and then if you if you do the bad thing, they pull your tongue out.
Yeah. That's a Christian maybe. I'm not
That's
sure.
Buddhist,
Is it
yeah.
Buddhist?
How do you say Emma Dyer in English?
And Madayo's like the what would you say? Like the king of darkness or something like that.
The Prince of Darkness?
Yeah.
Satan?
Oh, so that character is from Buddhist.
Yeah, that's Buddhist.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So that's one of the kind of
Oshaka-sama is in the heaven. No? Oshaka-sama is, by the way, where is he from? Buddhist?
he's from India, I think.
Well, Shaka-sama sounds like somebody who's inside out.
That's
That's Saka-sama.
Saka-sama. Yeah.
Oshaka-sama is
Shaka.
a Buddhism.
So-
And because there is a kindergarten near here, and then it's close to, temple, next to temple, and then they pray for Oshaka-sama.
Yeah.
And then Oshaka-sama is in heaven.
Is shaka?
No.
Sorry, I was thinking shaka
No?
chicken from McDonald's. Sorry.
So Shaka-sama is Siddhartha Gautama, who's the historic Buddha.
Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
Shakyamuni is the historic Buddha, right?
Okay.
So he's the person who founded Buddhism, basically.
So he's in the heaven.
No,
No. No.
not strictly, no.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah, he's achieved nirvana.
Okay.
So he's kind of left the mortal coil
Yeah,
and
so
gone
he's-
somewhere else. But, you know,
Let's just say heaven.
yeah, okay, that's good enough. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys, we're gonna close down this episode of religion in Japan. Is there anything else that we didn't cover? I think we covered everything.
I don't know. It's quite in-depth conversation there.
There's
Is it funny to have no religion to you guys?
No, I don't have a religion really. I just
Oh.
think Buddhist philosophy is interesting.
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm pretty nihilistic about my.
I think if you come from a Christian or a Muslim country or a Jewish country and you come to Japan, it might be weird that there's the mixing of religions in the way that it happens, but it's also kind of interesting.
To them, the God is only one.
Yeah, monotheistic, like for example, like I said, like Muslims, Christians, Jewish people, like the Judeo philosophy. It's all one God.
One God.
So-
Interestingly, though, the Catholic Church said it's okay to go to Shinto shrines and pray there
Why?
because it's not a religious practice; it's kind of a spiritual practice.
Oh,
Interesting.
Spiritual.
Do you know why they did that? Because they wanted more Japanese Catholics. Because nobody's going to go, oh, I'm not going to a shrine anymore.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
my image is like there are many gods and they're getting along together in the sky, universe.
in the clouds,
In the clouds.
in that Hollywood heaven that you're imagining.
Well, that's a good thing, right? If they're not going to argue with each other, what's the problem?
Right,
Just
right,
believe
right.
what you want.
I do like that. I do want to say one thing though, that Japanese people in some ways kind of are similar to Native Americans, where they believe in gods of things. Like there'll be a god of a river, or there'll be like a god of a mountain, right? And so this is kind of more of an ancient philosophy for them, but this is something that they do believe. And you can see this if you watch the movie Spirited Away, Sen Tochiro, then you'll see the river god who comes in as the big smelly guy into the onsen, and he gets cleaned up and he becomes like the happy river god, right? And so they actually do believe in spirits of things, which is kind of interesting.
That's why the name of the movie is called Spiritual. What
It's called
was it?
Spirited Away,
Uh-huh.
and I think they just came up. I forgot why they came up with that.
So
But-
kamikakushi is spirited away, basically.
Oh.
Means like taken away by the gods.
Yeah.
Or-
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh.
So anyway, if you guys haven't seen that movie, please do watch that movie. It's beautiful, but it does go over some of the philosophy of like the understanding of like how gods exist as like a group of. It's kind of like mythology, right? The Greek mythology with all the different characters and everything. Just
Yeah.
more.
Well, it's animism, right? So, yeah.
It's multi-theism. So anyway. All right, guys, that's been our show today. If you guys have any comments, if we got anything wrong, especially we didn't want to offend anybody, but if we got anything wrong, please leave us a comment. If you guys, like today's show, hit that like button and subscribe to never miss an episode. I think that's all. Anything? How do you greet and say goodbye in Buddhism? Is there any like saying or anything?
Peace out.
Hey everyone, Josh here. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Small Talk Japan. Small Talk Japan was filmed and recorded in Kagoshima at Story Studios. This week's episode stars Michi, Natsuki, and Alex, and is produced by me, Josh, and is executive produced by Michi. Hair services provided by Drops Hair Tenmonkan. This week's episode is sponsored by Stapleton A. Kaiwa. Leave a comment below and let us know what you think of the show. Thanks again for watching, and if you enjoyed the show, click here to subscribe and click here to watch more. See you next time!